Welcome to the June 1st, 2026 Troy City Council meeting. We request that your cell phones be silenced for the duration of the meeting. And tonight our invocation is led by Ms. Hickman. Please stand.
Let us take a moment together as we begin. We come to this work tonight as neighbors, people who care about this place and the people in it. It's easy to forget once we get into the business of the night. It's also the last week of school, so a special thank you to the teachers among us, at this table and across our community, who've poured themselves into our kids all year. You've earned the summer ahead for sure. This week also marks the 50th anniversary of our Strawberry Festival. Think about that. Half a century of coming together and raising money for the nonprofits that keep this area going. We now celebrate with pie eating contests, music, a car show, and more, but many in this community will never forget the spirit of the parade. Strawberry Festival isn't just an event on the calendar, it's who we are, and it's the reason the work we do at this table matters. So let's carry a little bit of that spirit in here tonight. Let's listen to each other, disagree honestly when we need to, and keep at heart the good of everyone we serve. May our work tonight be worthy of the trust this community has placed on us. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, Mr. Twist. Mrs. Knight, could you please call the roll?
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes, here.
Mr. Twist?
Here.
Mrs. Snee?
Here.
Mr. Phillips?
Here.
Mrs. Westfall?
Here.
Mr. Sievert?
Here.
Ms. Hickman?
Here.
Mr. Whidden?
Here.
Mr. Schilling?
Present.
All members are present.
Thank you. Could you please read the summary of the minutes of the May 16th meeting?
Minutes of Council, May 18, 2026.
Okay.
Committee reports. Finance Committee recommended legislation be prepared authorizing funding for the Troy Development Council for year 2026. Law and Ordinance Committee reported regarding a liquor permit. Resolution number R27, 2026, funding to Troy Development Council, first reading and adopted. Resolution number R28, 2026, employing legal counsel, was given first reading and adopted. There was a motion to amend Resolution R25, 26 that failed adoption. Following various comments, Council went into executive session, came out of executive session at 9:13 and adjourned.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Motion to approve the minutes by Mr. Whidden, seconded by Ms. Sickman. Mrs. Knight, can you call the roll?
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you. We'll move on to committee reports tonight, and we will start with Community and Partnerships. To my right, Mrs. Westfall.
Thank you, Mr. President. On May 26th, this committee met to consider council authorization of two agreements for events August 21st and 22nd, Tour de Donut and Donut Jam. Both events include the use of public property. It is the recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to enter into an agreement with Can't Stop Running Company related to the Tour de Donut event, August 21st and 22nd, including notwithstanding wording. Authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to enter into an agreement with Troy Main Street, Inc., related to the Donut Jam event, August 21st and 22nd, including notwithstanding wording. Authorizing starting the DORA hours at 10 a.m. on August 22nd. Respectfully submitted myself as chair. and Mr. Jeffrey Schilling and Mr. Jeffrey Wooden.
Questions, comments on that one? Moving further, right, Finance, Mr. Siebert.
Thank you, Mr. President. On May 26th, the committee met to review the application of the 2026 Community Development Block Grant CDBG funding for qualifying projects. It is the recommendation that the legislation be prepared authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to submit an application to the Ohio Department of Development for the $150,000 of 2026 CDBG Community Allocation Program funds for the following projects: $140,000 for the Lincoln Community Center ADA handicap ramp and the pool HVAC unit, $7,000 for the sidewalk street corner accessibility ramp installations, high school campus, $3,000 for fair housing. That's a $150,000 total. Based upon the June 10th application deadline, the committee supports emergency legislation. Respectfully submitted, Jeffrey Whitten, Ms. Westfall, and myself as chairman.
Thank you. Moving to Parks and Recreations, Mr. Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. President. On May 26th, this committee met to discuss a grant opportunity for possible funding related to the proposed walking trail within Hurlinger Park that would connect the park's parking areas and recreational amenities, improve accessibility, and provide additional recreational opportunities for Troy residents and visitors. This recreation trail is part of the budgeted Hurlinger Park project. Grant funds would reduce the city's cost for this project. This is a reimbursement grant project with a maximum application amount of $150,000 to fund up to 75% of eligible project cost. It is the recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to submit an application to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for NatureWorks grant funding for the Hurlinger Park Walking Trail project. This is respectfully submitted by Ms. Hickman, Mrs. Westfall, and myself, Jeffrey Whitten, as chair.
Questions, concerns? You have another one?
I do. This committee also met on May 26th to discuss the Ohio Department of Natural Resources ODNR grant funding to create a wetlands area within the TMBA area of Duke Park. This reimbursement grant will provide $482,000 in funding to design and construct the project and to replace the Duke Park entrance drive from Troy-Sydney Road to just past the location of the new park maintenance building. It is the recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to accept the ODNR H2 Ohio Rivers Initiative grant and to execute any related grant documents for what is known as the Troy Side Channel and Oxbow Creation Project. This is respectfully submitted by Ms. Hickman, Mrs. Westfall, and myself, Jeffrey Whitten, as chair.
Questions? Thank you, sir. Moving on to Streets and Sidewalks, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, sir. On May 26th, the committee met to consider the acceptance of documents and to be authorized for a grant that would fund most of the design cost of the intersection improvement at West Main Street Experiment Farm Road intersection. Some of the history of this project is discussed in the detailed report. It is noted that the grant can be accepted before the final design of the intersection has been determined, and it is a recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to enter into a grant agreement with the U.S. Department of Transportation Build America Bureau for the Rural and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program, and to execute all associated agreements and related documents necessary to administer the grant. As staff has been advised that it is anticipated that the U.S. Department of Transportation will ask that grant acceptance documents be returned prior to July 1. Committee supports emergency legislation, and this is respectfully submitted by Mr. Schilling, Mrs. Marshall, and myself as chair.
Questions, concerns on that? Thank you. Moving on to citizens' comments on any committee reports that have been read tonight or any agenda items. Please come forward, name and address for record, and you will have around 2 minutes to discuss your view. All right. So, moving on then. Moving on to resolutions. Mrs. Knight, could you please read Resolution R29, 2026, please?
Resolution number R29, 2026. Resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio, to file an application for the use of PY 2026 Community Development Block Grant Funds and declaring an emergency. This is the application for funding in the amount of $150,000. First reading.
Move to suspend the rules?
Second.
Point of order, those are both out of order.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes. According to Robert Rules of Order, there is no motion on the table, no major motion on the table, and you cannot amend a major motion without being first presented to the table.
We're not amending anything.
That is an amendment to a major motion.
Would you care to explain in detail, Mr. Schilling?
What are we amending?
You're not amending, you're trying to amend the first resolution. So we're amending is the CBDG application for funding. Mrs. Knight just read that, correct?
I read the resolution authorizing the application.
Right, you have read that, but Mrs. Knight is not a voting member of council and cannot make a motion to place that resolution on the floor or on the table. That has to be done by somebody of council. So the proper vocabulary in that particular, the next step, to consider legislation, a member of council must make a motion. The example after the description of legislation, which was read by Mrs. Knight, one of council members must state, I motion that ordinance, in this case, or resolution 29, 2026, be adopted. Okay. At that particular point in time, the motion must obtain a second, or the motion dies without consideration. At that point, no further action is required. This procedure should not be confused with putting the question, which takes place later, and means putting the question to a vote. So the first thing that I would do is to make a motion that resolution 2926 pertaining to the CDBG 2026 application for funding be adopted.
Is that possible on a first reading?
You want me to read it verbatim by the book?
I'm just asking the question if
Yes, that's what Robert Rules of Orders tells us we have to do.
I'm talking about our council rules.
We have no rules on council describing how the business is to be conducted.
In the Ohio Revised Rules.
The rules of procedure set forth how the agenda is created, and the clerk is, after the committee meetings where there's a recommendation that it be presented to council, the clerk is directed to put together an agenda.
Right.
And then, as part of the legislation is prepared. Now, the vote that is in front of council right now, there was a motion to suspend the rules.
That motion is out of order.
It is not.
Let him finish, Jeff.
There is provisions for, in the council, the rules of procedure, which takes precedent over Robert's Rules of Order. The rules of procedure take precedence.
Absolutely.
It's only when it talks about the rules of procedure have provisions that talk about suspending it under certain circumstances, and that comes prior to the main motion. And then following that is when the motion to adopt would follow if there's a successful roll call vote on that.
Well, I mean, of course, neither one of us are parliamentarians, and that was proven back in April. I've read Robert Rules of Order over, and according to Robert Rules of Order, you cannot, the motion to suspend is essentially part of the motion is part of essentially you're changing the resolution. In other words,
the resolution has, our rules of procedure And it clearly states that the rules of procedure take precedence over Robert Rules of Order.
You're exactly right, it does.
And then it says that, and there's provisions in there about suspending the three reading rule, and that
Exactly right.
motion comes beforehand.
That is an amendment to a motion.
I would disagree.
I can tell you this, I've sat on council for,
Well, and again, but what we've done in prior
Mr.
years is
Schilling,
not
I'm
necessarily
talking.
correct.
Jeff, let them speak.
Okay.
We're letting you speak.
I've sat on council for, I think, I don't know, Ms. Knight can tell me, 6 or 7 years in the 90s and 10 years almost so far. So 3 different law directors, and this process has been followed by every vote that has come before this body. I'm assuming the period that I took off to raise my children, the process occurred as well. So I'm going to guess for nearly in excess of 40 years, this process has occurred, and I would assume that it was being done under the guidance of our law director and with the advice of the law director in its process. So I would defer to Mr. Kerber on his advice as to how we should proceed. But I do not believe that there's anything incorrect done in the last 40 years that this council has been proceeding in this fashion.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
Robert Rules of Order strictly has talked about past practices. And it does state that past practices, even though they've been done for a number of years, is not the correct order of procedure based on Robert Rules of Order. Okay, now, Mr. Kerber is exactly right. In other words, that we have in our rules of procedure, they do talk about a motion to suspend, and what we're essentially doing there is that we are suspending the rules of order. We can't do that until we have a motion. In other words, that suspending the rules of order to go from 3 readings to 1 is essentially addressing a piece of legislation, either an ordinance or a resolution. And so therefore, we can't do that until we have the motion to put the ordinance or resolution, what they call, on the table for consideration. Once that motion is made to put that piece of legislation on the table, then we can modify the rules of procedure on that particular piece of legislation, which would be the secondary motion, which is acceptable under Robert Rules of Order.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
I would argue that we cannot act on that piece of legislation even by making a motion until its 3rd reading by our rules, unless we make a motion to suspend those rules.
Right,
and act on it on the 1st reading, which would then presume that that motion has to come first.
No,
We are taking an action to suspend our rules so that we can then make the motion to act on this piece of legislation.
Mr. Kerber, comments on that?
Well, I'll point out on the rules of procedure, it's Rule 7, entitled Legislation, Section D, and it says exactly what Mrs. Snee just explained, that it says the presiding officer should, after the title reading and summary explanation by the clerk, entertain a motion to suspend the rules. If 3/4 of the members approve the motion, the legislation is then ready for adoption. After a member moves for adoption, with a second, a vote will be taken.
And those rules,
Take
even though they were delayed for 2 months, were voted on and accepted by this body in 2026, correct?
That's correct.
Well, there was no gap in time with the rules. The previous set of
Well, I
rules
know.
continued.
Well, when we approved them, because people wanted to amend them.
So I'm confused. So we do have rules that take precedent over Robert's Rules of Order, so Mr. Schilling's first statement was not factually correct.
Well,
Under our procedures.
Our procedure says these procedures set forth how council meetings are conducted. And then at the end, it says, let me get you the Rule 27. Says the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order shall be followed with respect to any question for which an answer has not been specifically provided herein.
Okay. So did you agree with that, Mr. Schilling? It's in the rules?
Okay, then my second question then is then we would still need a motion to adopt the legislation. If you want to do it backwards, I mean, according to Robert Rules of Order, I guess that's okay. But again, we would still then need a motion to approve the
Well, I thought Mr.
wait, I'm not done. We
that's
need a
what we
motion
do.
to approve, we need a motion to then to approve the legislation. And all that motion does is open the debate. Because that's the next step that we go to.
No.
After,
Our rules clearly state that the motion for the suspension precedes the motion to adopt.
okay, I'll go along with that, but then we still need a motion to adopt, and then after the motion and second, the President of Council then must state the question. So in other words, we still have to get the legislation on the table. It identifies the motion. The motion is now pending once the chairman states the motion has been made and seconded, that then puts it on it's pending before council. That does not mean that we go immediately to a vote. According to the Robert Rules of Order, and I know this is not in our rules and procedure, the chairman or the president then asks the presenter of the motion, whoever made the motion to adopt the legislation, if he or she would like the floor as a way to begin the discussion or debate. And again, this would be time for discussions or any additional amendments that would be made to the legislation. Only the chairman or president, according to Robert Rules of Orders, can close the debate. If no member questions or other member council indicates that they want to start the debate, then the chairman or the president may ask, "Councilor, are you ready for the question?" Okay. If no member speaks against this question, then the president is ready to call the question, and that is when we take the vote. So in other words, we cannot take a vote until the president calls a question, and that's not in our procedures.
First off, Mr. Schilling, you know, I was unaware that you were going to raise this. With issues like this, it would be very helpful if you could communicate
I presented it,
beforehand.
I presented it to Mr. Rozelle, President Rozelle.
Well, I know you've emailed me before when you had questions, and we've had very good conversations. And,
Right.
You know, as far as coming in, and I'd be happy to sit down and explain why, you know, the procedure that we're following is correct. So, you know, I don't know what else to say that other than council is following our rules of procedure.
My statement, Jeff, is I think indirectly we are following what you want. What we've been lax on is going from suspension to approval without. And that's my fault for not asking people if they have any questions, as we do in the committee reports. I interpret that as the discussion part that you want to have, or that could possibly be had after we've moved to vote on the piece of legislation. If that's a wrong interpretation, Grant, we need to have a meeting. But we do follow, and I agree with Todd, these are the procedures that get voted on every year, and no one has focused on this method that you're focusing on tonight. I think we just need to slow down a little bit, and we need to ask if anybody else has discussions before I have Mrs. Knight call the roll call on the vote once we get a first and second on the piece of legislation. But I do think we're following what we've all signed off on, saying these are our procedures.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I would, the only comment I would make on that is that, you know, in our rules of procedure, if there are nothing written that contradicts what Robert Rules of Order states, and what I'm talking about here is what they state, what is stated in the book, then I think that we are obligated to follow the Robert Rules of Order. Again, past practices have no bearing on this, according to Robert Rules of Order. So I would think that, and again, the vocabulary, I think once we do it a few times, is going to get built in and be absolutely correct, which I think all of us want to do. I mean, to do things half-assed is just not what Troy City Council is about. And I think we can master this vocabulary and have the correct procedures. That's it.
And I personally think you're splitting hairs on our procedures with Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah, point of order.
Statements.
Mr. Schilling, can I ask a question? Is your hope and desire with this to really button us down to deep legislative practices and Robert's Rule of Order? Is there something else you're trying to drive at? And can we be plain spoken about what you really want?
Well, and that's a good question, and I appreciate that, Mr. Whidden. And again, I just want to try to avoid the fiasco that we had in April. Okay, and the reason we had the fiasco in April is because nobody knew the rules. We don't have a parliamentarian, and everybody showed their ignorance because the rules were misinterpreted and not followed. And so I think that if we have a defined set of rules that are published by Robert Rules of Order, now if we want to incorporate Robert Rules of Order to handle motions into our rules of procedure, and if we make changes at that particular point in time, then that's okay, all right? But the rules of procedure say essentially that if our rules of procedure don't change Robert Rules of Order, then Robert Rules of Order should be followed. And when you look in the book, which I have read several times, the order on motions is there's specific wording that has to be said, and it has, and that way it's done correctly. And that's all I'm asking. I think we should be able to do this correctly. We're all adults here, I think.
All right, fair enough.
Fair enough.
You give me your point of view.
Let's take 2 more minutes, Jeff, and run through this. She's read it. We've had you rejected to the suspension of rules.
Okay.
What, in your scenario, what happens now?
Okay, I would
After she reads the resolution.
Mrs. Knight read the resolution. According to our rules of procedure, then a motion to suspend the rules is appropriate. And then the next motion would be the motion to adopt. And at that point in time, the president goes back to the person that made the motion and said, do you have anything to say, any discussion or anything else you want to do? And that opens the floor. And then you can go, or anybody else have anything to say. If nobody says anything, then you say, you essentially say it's time to call the question.
Okay.
And then that's when we take the vote.
And what I'm telling you is, in my opinion, that third step, because you've already objected to suspension of rules, which you're saying is the first step, we haven't got that vote yet, to get to the vote of passing the legislation. And what we've done is, once that is, we've gone too quickly in the past to a roll call vote of that, and am I not asking if you have any objections? Is that a fair statement?
That would be a fair statement.
Okay, so we're following the same thing we've always done. So there's 20 minutes of Robert's Rules of Order does nothing to do with the procedures we've agreed to and that we've followed for 40 years. So on that case, Mrs. Knight, please call the roll on the suspension of rules that was moved by Mr. Whidden and seconded by Ms. Hickman.
Mrs. Snee.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall.
Yes.
Mr. Sievert.
Yes.
Ms. Hickman.
Yes.
Mr. Whidden.
Yes.
Mr. Schilling.
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall.
Yes.
Mr. Twist.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Whidden.
There was no discussion.
We're getting to it, Jeff. You said in your procedures, we got to have
Okay.
it voted the
That's
thing
right.
first.
You're exactly right. I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
Motion by Mr. Whidden, second by Mr. Phillips. Now, Mr. Whidden, do you have any comments that you'd like to make about this piece of legislation?
Not at this time.
Anybody else? Mrs. Knight, please take the roll on this piece of legislation.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Westphal?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Could you please read Resolution R30, 2026?
Resolution number R30, 2026. Resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio, to change the DORA hours on August 22, 2026 for the Tour de Donut event. This is on the Saturday of the Tour de Donut, where the DORA hours would start at 10 a.m. instead of 11 a.m. First reading.
Move to suspend the rules?
Second.
Motion to suspend, Mr. Whidden, second by Mr. Phillips. Mrs. Knight, could you please call the roll?
Mrs. Westphal?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mrs. Sneed?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Sievert, second by Mrs. Snee. Any comments, additions, modifications?
By me, I have no comments today. Thank you.
I have no more comments.
Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
No.
Mrs. Sneed?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Westphal?
Yes.
Resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Moving on, could you read Resolution R31, 2026, please?
Resolution number R31, 2026. Resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio, to accept an H2O grant and execute documents with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for the Troy Side Channel and Oxbow Creation Project within the Timba area of the Paul G. Duke Park. This is the first reading on this grant application, which will provide the improvements to the Timba area and save dollars within the city budget. First reading.
Move for suspension.
Second.
Motion to suspend by Mr. Phillips, second by Mrs. Westphal. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Westphal?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Whidden, seconded by Ms. Hickman. Mr. Whidden, any additional comments?
None at this time.
Anyone else? Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Westphal?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Resolution is adopted.
Mrs. Knight, will you please read Resolution R32, 2026?
Resolution number R32, 2026. Resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio, to file a Nature Works grant application with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for the Hurlinger Park Walking Trail. This grant application, if approved, would fund the walking trail, which is a part of the budgeted project this year. First reading.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Motion to suspend, Mr. Sievert, second by Mr. Twist. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Schilling,
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Sievert,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Whidden.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Motion
Mrs.
to
West.
adopt by Mrs. Westfall, second
Second.
by Mr. Sievert. My only question is, walking trail like it is in McKeag, in Harlinger, like it is around McKeag?
Paved, yeah, yes.
Sorry. Any
Sorry.
other comments?
Nope.
Anyone else? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Sievert,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Whidden,
Yes.
Mr. Schilling.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted.
Mrs. Knight, will you read our last resolution tonight, R 33, 2026, please?
Resolution number R 33, 2026. Resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio, to enter into a grant agreement with the U.S. Department of Transportation Build America Bureau for the Rural and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program for future design of the West Main Street and Experiment Farm Road Intersection Improvement Project and declaring an emergency. This grant, if approved, would provide the city with $860,000 towards the design of this project. This is the first reading.
Move for suspension.
Second.
Move to suspend, Mr. Phillips, second by Mr. Twist. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Sievert,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Whidden,
Yes.
Mr. Schilling,
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt, Mr. Sievert, second by Mr. Twist.
And I do have
Sievert.
one
Okay.
quick comment. If Mr. Tiddington can confirm that there are no design preferences tied to this grant. I know it's been said on a number of occasions, but sometimes people only watch the council meetings and don't pay attention to the other sources of information. So this grant is for design fees from the federal government, but it has been presented to council on a number of occasions that there is no design preference tied to this grant.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Sievert,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Whidden,
Yes.
Mr. Schilling,
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Twist.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Thank you. Moving on to ordinances. Mrs. Knight, could you please read ordinance O-25, 2026?
Ordinance number O-25, 2026. Ordinance authorizing use of public areas for the 2026 Donut Jam event, notwithstanding conflicting provisions of the Troy codified ordinances, and authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio, to enter into an agreement with the Troy Main Street, Inc., therefore. This is for the Tour de Donut event, which will be held August 21 and August 22 of this year. First reading.
Move for suspension.
Second.
Motion to suspend by Mr. Phillips, second by Mrs. Snee. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Sievert,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Whidden,
Yes.
Mr. Schilling,
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee.
Yes. Move to adopt. Second.
Motion to adopt by Mrs. Snee, second by Mrs. Westfall. Mrs. Snee,
Any comment?
anyone else have comments, questions? Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Mrs. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Mrs. Knight, will you please read ordinance O-26, 2026?
Ordinance number O-26, 2026. Ordinance authorizing the use of public areas for the 2026 Tour de Donut event, notwithstanding conflicting provisions of the Troy codified ordinances, and authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio, to enter an agreement with Can't Stop Running Co., therefore. This is the company that actually manages the Tour de Donut event, which will be held on August 21 and 22 of 2026. This is the first reading.
Move for suspension.
Mr. Phillips moves for second. Suspension, Mrs. Westfall seconded. Mrs. Knight, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes. Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mrs. Westfall, second by Mr. Whidden.
No question.
Mrs. Westfall, anybody else? Questions, comments? Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Mrs. Knight, could you read our last ordinance for the evening? Ordinance O-2726, please.
Ordinance number O-27, 2026. Ordinance approving the conveyance of parcels within Archer Park from the name of the City of Troy or the City of Troy, Ohio, to the Board of Park Commissioners of the City of Troy, Ohio, and approving the replat of Archer Park. This was legislation previously adopted that had to be amended to take one parcel out of all of those that will be combined because the one parcel was in the Miami East School District and could not be combined with those in the Troy School District. This has been recommended by the Board of Park Commissioners. First reading.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Motion to suspend by Mrs. Snee, second by Mr. Phillips. Mrs. Knight, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Whidden,
Second.
second by Mrs. Snee. Mr. Whidden, any other further additions?
I just really wish they could have got it all into one, but alas.
No?
we could not.
Miami's gives up that parcel?
I know, but nothing else.
Okay.
Question.
Mr. Schilling?
Mr. President, I do have a question. I know in the past, especially at Archer Park, we've had some problems with residents taking advantage of the park and moving their personal property and this type of thing onto park lands and essentially claiming the park land as theirs. And I know this was surveyed prior to this, and did we find any additional encroachments that we should be concerned about?
We did not.
Okay, thank you so much.
Anyone else? Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Ms. Hickman?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Thank you. Any announcements or anything that we need, Mrs. Knight, this week?
No, sir.
Comments? Mayor Oda?
Just a reminder that this coming weekend, this Friday, is the Donut Jam. Looking forward to that in downtown Troy. on Friday night? No.
Strawberry Festival.
Strawberry Festival, what'd I say?
Donut Jam.
Donut Jam.
Close.
You can get a donut. You can get a donut.
Yeah.
It is the Strawberry Jam
get the
on
one that's
Friday
hot.
night. The Donut Jam is the end of August, and then the Strawberry Festival and the concert on the weekend. So weather's looking a little bit better. Rain seems to be moving out. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Thank you.
Director of Public Service and Safety, Mr. Titterington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have nothing this evening.
Well, we can skip. Mr. Frigg, he's normal, nothing available because he's not here. Director of Law, Mr. Kerber.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
We'll start over here on the right since he always gets last.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Sievert.
President. Just a few things real quick. Congratulations to Troy High School baseball. Unfortunately, their season ended probably not the way they wanted it, the district, with a one-run loss to Anderson. But they had a great season, and we congratulate them. An issue, I drive the Adams Street roundabout to be very frequently. It is fairly dark there. Please just be cautious as you go through there. It's only one more week, but it is kind of difficult. There was actually a car that went the wrong way came up the wrong side of the pylon. So be careful, be cautious. We have one more week to get that resolved. Good luck to the Strawberry Festival. I see Ms. Roderer here today, and I know she's put hours and hours and hours of investment into that, and it is truly the economic churning engine for nonprofits, and we hope it's a great, safe holiday. And finally, I guess if all that hubbub earlier was designed to request the council president inquire council for any amendment, clarification, or questions prior to calling the final vote in the question, I guess I'm all for that. I'm not really sure why we went round and round 8 times on trying to figure that out, but if that's what we're trying to put in so that council can have one final discussion or opportunity to amend or inquire, I think that is fine, and I think it worked well after we figured out what we were trying to accomplish. So that's it.
Thank you. Mrs. Sneed.
Yes, also good luck to everyone involved in the Strawberry Festival this weekend, and hopefully we'll have lots of turnout for that. The following weekend on Saturday, June 13th, the at-large members will again be hosting our quarterly Ask a Council Member meeting. It will be at 9 o'clock in the library in the basement conference room. Just be aware that the library does open at 9 o'clock, so we will be starting as the library opens on that morning. But Saturday, June 13th, 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Mrs. Westfall.
I don't have a whole lot to add to that, but I would encourage everyone to be kind to all the out-of-towners that will be in this weekend, and to be careful with the streets that are closed. The trash that you may see while you're walking along, please help and pick that up, and try to keep our town as clean as possible. I know they work really, really hard to keep it clean, and it's a big, big job. So that's all I have.
Mr. Schilling.
I think I've done enough damage for the night. I don't have anything else to say.
Mrs. Marshall.
I'm good.
That's true, but do you have anything to say?
I've got nothing.
Okay. Mr. Whidden.
Just a congratulations to all the graduates over the last few weeks, or if there's still any left to go. Congratulations to them. Looking forward to a big weekend with the Strawberry Festival. Thank you to all the members of the public who came out tonight. Please keep coming back. We have better meetings when you come here, so thank you for coming. That's all I have.
Ms. Sickman.
I do not have anything tonight.
Mr. Phillips.
I just wanted to go along with Mr. Whidden on the seniors and the graduating classes this year. Congratulations to all those young folks. And unfortunately, I won't be able to attend the Strawberry Festival this year. Just being out of town visiting my grandsons. That's all I have.
Travel safely. Mr. Twist.
I have nothing this evening.
My comments are, I appreciate everybody's input, even though it went 20 minutes to get things straightened out. Hopefully that was beneficial to everyone. Thanks for everybody coming. Kathy has a Leadership Troy person with her tonight. Is that correct? Who is? Okay. Thank you, Nathan, for coming. Keep coming back. On top of that, kudos to the police. I heard that they have followed through with their increased monitoring, and they have stopped a couple of bikers this past week and chatted with them. One was over behind the courthouse. I don't know whether the adult was getting a warning or whether he was talking to him about something else, but that looked good. And on top of that, we had committee as a whole on the 24th meeting at Bravo. It'll be a presentation from consultants on the options for West Main Street. If you want to have your input heard, please come to that meeting, listen, ask questions, make your comments. And then after that, down the road, there'll be a final decision, and hopefully everybody understands why that decision was made. Other than that, I have nothing else. Staff, Salome, have anything? Chief of Police? Mr. Simmons? Public? Come on down. Name and address.
My name is Rebecca Simpson. I'm an attorney with Finney Law Firm, and I represent Troy Station LLC and Mandeep Singh, who is here this evening with me. My address is 635 Main Street, Cincinnati, Ohio. I know that I talked with City Council before regarding the issue of the gas station that Troy Station has been working with the city on for the last 2 to 3 years, and I know there were some questions during the last City Council meeting, so we wanted to come back and be able to address some of those questions. We also want to talk about some of the practical difficulties and the monetary damages that my client is incurring because of waiting to the end of the moratorium. And I really do appreciate not only the opportunity to present at the City Council meeting on the 20th of May, or on the 20th of April, I think it was. But also I appreciate the thoughtful comments from folks about, the impact that the moratorium may have and the need to get the zoning code done quickly. We do appreciate that. I also, at the end, I don't want any surprises, we're going to ask that council accept my client from the moratorium, and we're going to explain the reasons why. In order to answer the questions, though, I need to give you some additional background information, and in order to do that, I would like to pass some information out to council. Is it okay if I approach the council members to do that?
That's your homework.
I've already got one.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this is more information. I promise you I'm not going to go through all of this tonight, but I just wanted to give it to you. It starts out with sort of just a summary of who my client is and who some of his team is that's been working with the city. Mike Twist, who I know many of you know, as well as Choice One, who I know works with the city quite a bit on development, are part of his team, as well as Matthew Ward, who is here this evening, who is his construction manager. Also, there is a timeline of correspondence with the city. I don't have all the correspondence with the city in there, but I have a significant amount of it beginning in April 2023 and going to the end of 2025 to show the significant process that the city and my client and their team went through. And I am going to highlight some of the items in there. And so starting out, and each of the tabs are exhibits that reference the items in the timeline. So starting out on April 13th of 2023, and this is Exhibit 1, starting with page 3 and then going back to page 2, Mike Twist had asked my client's team had asked the city what kind of zoning do we need in order to be able to put a gas station here with a convenience store? And the city was very cooperative. The city was cooperative through the whole process and got back and said, this is the type of zoning change that you need. My client applied for the zoning change, took the advice, which was good advice, and then on July 17, 2023, Ordinance 0-37, 2023 passed, changing the zoning. Then ChoiceMon met with the city to talk about, what is the process and what do we need to do and what do we need to get to you. And again, city very cooperative. On August 13, 2023, Choice One submitted formal plans for the gas station. And that's one of the things I wanted to show is these were formal plans. These were not just informal discussions. If you look at, it's Exhibit 5, you'll see at the top there's a pinkish purple tab. If you will go to the pinkish purple tab that is the top, it's going to take you to the site plan, which you'll see is extensive and detailed that was submitted. I'll give you everybody just a minute to get there. Then on August 21, Mike Twist submitted the architectural plans. And then there was a lot of back and forth, and I'm not going to go through all of that. There were a lot of comments from the city. They asked for a lot of additional information, a lot of different plans. There were amended site plans, revised site plans that were sent to the city, additional comments, and there was a back and forth for quite a long time. I'll give you some examples of those. If you look at Exhibit 8, you'll see some of the comments from the city and the back and forth. And then Exhibit 9. Exhibit 11. And then if you look, there's a blue tab on the top. It's an attachment to Exhibit 11, and that is one of the revised site plans that was submitted. As you can tell, very extensive site plans, very detailed, professional drawings. Then Exhibit 15 is another example of the back and forth with the city. And again, I won't go through it all. I mean, I'm going to leave these folders with you, and if you guys want to look through it, obviously, please do so at your leisure. I do want you to turn, if you will, please, to Exhibit 14. On Exhibit 14, on the first page, you'll see a highlighted portion where the city sends out an email saying that my client is in the final phases of getting his zoning permit. And then if you will turn to Exhibit 16, again, there is a highlighted part where the city refers to my client as the applicant, which my client all along believed he was. Fast forward, I'm not going to go through all the back and forth. We get to October 7th of 2025. This is Exhibit 20 on the second page. Mike Twist emails Austin Idemiller with the city asking how we could get a notice of commencement. Austin, as always, was cooperative and sent back information on how to get a notice of commencement. Then on November 3rd, there's an email where the fire department approves, November 3rd, 2025, the fire department approves revised canopy drawings. And then in November of 2025, Austin Idemiller contacts my client, and they discuss a status update. And then in early 2025, my client calls Austin to let him know that they're going to begin. They have the building permit from the city. They have the buster permit that they needed that has to do with the tanks. And he called Austin to let him know that they plan to move forward. This was about a week after the moratorium was passed. And Austin told him, well, you can't because there's a moratorium now. And Austin said, I have your application sitting on my desk, and it's expired, which was odd because the city has now taken the position that there was never an application, so I'm not sure how an application could expire if there never were an application. But nonetheless, one of the questions, well, first let me say that we believe that this process, this extensive formal process that my client went through with the city does satisfy an application and should be accepted from the moratorium, which, City Council did create an exception in the moratorium for an applicant. If you look at the definition of applicant in the city's zoning code, and I copied and pasted it into the very beginning in the timeline, if you look, there's an orange tab on the side near the beginning. If you go to the orange tab on the side, the orange tab is going to take you to the definition of application, which is the process by which an applicant submits a request and indicates a desire to be granted a permit under the provisions of the zoning code, which my client did. An application includes all written documentation, verbal statements, and representations in whatever form or forum made by an applicant to the city of Troy concerning such a request. And my client has done that. And so from our perspective, there was an application and it should be accepted. I understand that the city administration interprets that differently and is saying that there was not an application. I wanted to answer some of the questions that you had last time, when I was here last time. One of the questions was, why didn't my client not speak up when the moratorium was first considered in January? And the reason for that was because no one told him that the moratorium was being considered. Despite the year-and-a-half process on this gas station, no one let him know that a moratorium was being considered. The first he knew about it was about a week after the moratorium when he called Austin to explain that he was starting the process of construction, and Austin said, you cannot because there's a moratorium. The other question that the city had, or some of the city council members had, was, has my client filed the technical application online and paid the fee? And my client has not at this point, and it's because I have advised him not to, and I want to explain why I have done that. The reason I have done that is, first, we believe there was an application. Second, if you look at the zoning code, when you file the formal application online and you pay the filing fee, it expires in 10 days, and the city has to give you a decision in 10 days. And my understanding from speaking with the different team members who worked with the city for a long time, and Choice One and others who work with the city on a regular basis, is because of this 10-day limit, people don't file their formal applications at the beginning. They go through this whole process, everything is approved, and at the end, it's a formality that you file your application, it's approved, and you pay your fee. So if my client had filed an actual application, it would have been denied several times over the 2.5 years that he was applying. And the reason I don't want him now to file an application is because of the moratorium and the city's position on the application, on the moratorium, and my client not being accepted from the moratorium as it's drafted and passed at this time, it would be denied. Once it's denied, that starts a 30-day time period in which we would have to appeal to the Board of Zoning Appeals to challenge that decision. And then if the Board of Zoning Appeals were to deny our administrative appeal, we would then have another 30 days to take that to the Court of Common Pleas. My client has no desire to sue the city. He just wants to move forward, be a good community partner, build his gas station. And so that's why I have advised him, because we don't want to start this process of deadlines, which leads to litigation, which is what we don't want to do. So what I am requesting today, and I will explain the problems that are being caused, we're requesting that the City Council pass an ordinance accepting my client from the moratorium. And if that happens, if the City Council is willing to do that, we will file an application, the formal application, and pay the fee. I just don't want to start the deadlines running until we have something worked out with the city. So the problem that's being caused by the moratorium, and I understand it's only 90 more days, but I also understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Planning Commission hasn't formally considered, I don't even know if they've gotten or reviewed or it's public yet, the zoning code draft. And I don't believe it's come to City Council. I think at this point it's either likely impossible or impossible that the zoning codes can be reviewed through the Planning Commission and City Council and passed by the time this moratorium ends at the end of August. My client's buster permit, which is one of the things he needs to put tanks in the ground and he got from the state, expires on August 1st. And so it's going to expire before the it's going to expire before the moratorium does. Another issue is that and Matt can explain this better than me, and he will come up and explain this. Matt will explain more of the issues having to do with the actual construction. It is a 16-week lead time on ordering tanks. I mean, obviously my client's not going to order tanks and incur that liability until he knows that he's going to be able to move forward. The problem is if you wait until the end of August to order tanks, and then you have a 16-week lead time, the ground's going to be frozen by the time you get them, which is going to push the construction off further and or make it extremely expensive. Matthew tells me that building anything in the winter is just more expensive. And the cost of materials is increasing every day, as everyone knows by what's going on right now. But I also put at the beginning of the folder on the very first page a list of the investments that my client has made in this property for the gas station. And also, and I'm sure you guys all know this, but this is not a gas station that we're proposing on in downtown or on a downtown corner. It's outside of downtown. It's on a vacant lot at this point. And so if anyone has questions for me, please let me know. If you have any questions for my client who is here, let me know. And then if it's okay, when we're done with questions, I'll turn it over to Matthew to talk about some of the practical problems.
I just have a real quick question. When you said that Austin said the application is on my desk,
yes,
was that verbal or is that in the documents?
That's verbal.
That was a verbal.
That's verbal,
comment.
and my client can tell you he had that conversation. I did not.
Okay. And where is the billboard an issue or not an issue?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. There is a billboard that's owned by Lamar, and it's partially on my client's property and partially on city property, and it's on the lot, essentially, where the gas station will be built. And the city has asked that be removed. And there was some back and forth before I became involved. I've just been involved for 2 or 3 months. But I spoke with Lamar probably a month ago and explained to them that they were under the misimpression that they could bind both the city and my client with a contract they had with Waco. And I explained that was not true. They got back and said, okay, we have contracts for advertising on the billboard through the end of November, but we will agree to take it down at the end of November. So I wanted to make sure the city was okay with that because it's on their property as well. So I emailed Austin, who I believe sent the email to Mr. Kerber, who got back to me and explained, the city can't enter into a contract with someone for advertising, which makes complete sense, but had indicated that if there's an enforceable contract, that for Lamar to remove it at the end of November, the city would not take legal action. So I need to connect with Mr. Kerber to find out, A, what does the city consider an enforceable contract? Because I don't want to sign a contract with Lamar and the city say that's not what we're looking for. And B, Lamar owes both my client and the city money for rent because it's on both properties, and so I need to know what the city wants me to do about that. Do they want to give up the rent? Do they want the rent? How do they want to handle it? So those are the 2 questions I have, and then I need to follow back up with Lamar.
I just have one more question. It just popped in my head here. So you said, Austin said the application was on his desk, right?
Yes.
Did he pay the application fee?
No, we admit we never filed
a formal application.
We believe we filed a formal application under the definition, under the zoning code, and based on what the city told my client he needed to file. And several times his team asked, is there anything else you need? And the answer, there was no answer. As a matter of fact, I followed up with Choice One because Choice One, when I was first engaged, I just said, send me the application, send me the application. And Choice One said, here's the application. And they sent me the August 18th, 2023 email where they sent in the plans. And so I had a conversation with my client's representative at Choice One who said, this is how I always do it with the city of Troy. And he said, I don't know if there's ever an application filed at the end or not. He said, I just did the same thing for another client on a different project. And I said, well, contact your other client and find out what happened. So he contacted the other client, and what he found out was, at the very end, after all the plans were approved and he had gone through the process with the city, much like my client has gone through the process, his client filed the form online and paid the fee as a formality. at the end and the zoning permit was issued. My client is certainly willing to do that. That's what I'm saying that he hasn't done because I've advised him not to do it at this point.
Do they do it at the end because of our 10-day time period?
That's my understanding. I mean, I don't, you know, I'm an attorney. I don't work with the planning department, but our team members, Choice One and Mike Twist, who have explained to me that the city of Troy does this a little different than other cities, and it's never been a problem. I mean, the things just got caught up in this one. It's never been a problem in the past, but yes, I mean, if we had submitted an application, it would have been denied after 10 days, because as you can see, the back and forth, the very detailed back and forth, took 2.5 years.
And Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
I believe that came up at our committee meeting, that it is a courtesy to applicants that they work with them ahead of time before entering that very short time period, so that within that 10-day time period, everything is pretty much done, and you know that you will not be going through multiple 10-day time periods and things expiring.
Anyone else have any questions?
Mr. President, if I may.
Mr. Phillips?
Ma'am, the billboard itself,
Yes.
it's not where the building will be constructed, it's just on the lot where it will be improved with the parking lot or curbs or...
Yes, it doesn't need to be moved for the construction. It's sort of right at the edge where billboards normally are, and I think there's an issue with sightline or something, and that's why they want it removed before the gas station opens.
And the expenditure of all of the $588,000, that's been over the 3-year period of
Yes.
construction, is that true?
Yes.
Were there any other iterations of, let's say, gas station?
Yes.
Were there other iterations? Did it get metamorphosed?
Yes and no. Prior to, we started in April 13th of 2023. There was originally a concept of opening a gas station with, I believe it was, what was it? A sports bar. And so that concept was discussed with the city, and that was abandoned. And then when they decided they wanted to do the gas station with the convenience store, that's when they spoke with Austin about what zoning do we need, and that's where we start on the August 13th timeline.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Does anyone have any questions for my client while he's here?
Yep.
Mindy?
You know, I've had an opportunity to look at some of this information, and my gut feeling on this thing is that I think we put these people through an awful lot. And we all know from prior conversations that I think most of the important requirements of a gas station are handled by the Ohio Revised Code. In other words, our building code or the code for gas stations is probably pretty much taken from the Ohio Revised Code, and so I don't think I can't imagine there's going to be a huge amount of difference between what we're doing right now for the 22 gas stations that we already have in Troy and the new one that's being proposed. And I would like to see this taken before committee for discussion and with the possibility of amending the moratorium.
Mr. President, if I may. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Mr. Sievert, thank you. I don't disagree with Mr. Schilling. I would like to have Mr. Kerber weigh in on where he thinks they're at from a legal perspective. And then, are you done, Mr. Schilling? Because I do have one question for the owner.
No, I don't. That was it. I think, like I say, I mean, you look at the information that they've given us and all the steps they've gone through and the time that they've taken, and as I say again, because they missed out on filing an online form by a week, to me is just, and again, I think she's also right. I mean, here we are we're in June 1st, and we were supposed to have this thing in our hands by now, and it's nowhere near being ready to present to us that I'm aware of. And so, you know, and it says it has to go through us and planning commission and everything else, and it just, you know, it's public hearings and this whole thing, and it just, I can't imagine why are we going to ask them to wait another 90 days? To me, it just makes no sense. I mean, we got 22 gas stations now, and another one's under the same provisions that the other 22 operate under. It shouldn't be a big deal. And yet here we are, putting the brakes on this thing for these people. And I just think I think we ought to take a look at this, a real hard look, and say, hey, look, I think they deserve an exception to what we did with the moratorium. That's it.
Just additional comments?
Just real quick, you and I did have an opportunity to discuss this a little bit, and can you tell council what your plans are for the site? Because first we heard a sports bar, your attorney just said a convenience store, and I thought when you and I had talked, you were going to have substitute of food available.
Yes, the restaurant area too. On one side, like almost 1,800 square feet, will be restaurant area. There'll be food area in there. There'll be 10 tables there, and it'll be just regular food, like maybe Subway or something like that.
Okay, so it is going to contain a restaurant.
Yes, if you could call it restaurant, maybe we're more looking for the fast food chain, something like Subway or maybe Dunkin' Donuts or something like that. Maybe coffee area there.
Okay.
There's one like that at Plain City.
I just want, we've had three different discussions, or three different definitions as to what that site was going to have. Initially, the sports bar, Ms. Simmons, I screwed that last name up, I'm sorry, but indicated the convenience store, and when you and I had spoken directly, you had indicated a restaurant. So as we said here today, it is your intention to have on-site I'm sure there'll be some product for sale, a restaurant, and a gas station.
Yes. On that gas station, like a sports bar, when I bought the piece of land, the first thing I approached Mr. Tim and Mr. Austin. Like, that's my plans, sports bar and a restaurant, like a gas station and a sports bar. There are a couple in Cincinnati. I gave them the picture, like this, what they look like. They're new things, something different, but Mr. Austin says it's not going to work. So city not going to let you do it. So I told Austin, like, I'll change my plans. So I'll just do with that gas station. Then I talked to Circle K, got the permission from Circle K. I got a franchise with Circle K. I already signed, paid the franchise fee to Circle K last year. So, but we kept that bar area like for a restaurant thing. We're not bringing any bar or anything. Will be any kind of food, Subway, maybe Dunkin' Donuts. Because there's not any like coffee place in that area up there. If you go that side.
There'll be a convenience store too. Convenience store too.
Yeah, convenience store will be a gas station, convenience store plus food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
I have one more that just followed. Sure. What is the current status of the zoning code? I know this has now been probably this is our 6th week of meetings since it was first brought up. Can Mr. Tiddington or Mr. Kerber or somebody give us an idea as to where we are?
Well, we've had several rounds of comments, at least from me. My last response to probably 100 comments or bullet points was submitted to them, the American Structure Point on May 22nd. So we're waiting to hear back from them. There may be some more. I know that we had some items that they had to work on. So right now the city's waiting for American Structure Point to respond to those comments and concerns.
And when does this moratorium end? It's already been a number of days into the 90 days, right?
No, it actually just started, I believe the end of August.
Yeah, 29.
The end of August? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Jensen, I know you wanted to...
Yeah, well, if you want to go to a committee, then that's fine. Mr. Davis couldn't be here, the development director, but I do know that there might have been some unique interpretations that were brought up in the presentation, so we'd want to be able to clarify things. I can tell you, though, if we're relying on the whether you consider it a formal application or not, the application that is as close to of record, the one that everybody is talking about, it does not include a restaurant, at least the last version that we saw. So that will need to be clarified, and if we can find the latest draft, we will bring that to the committee as part of the discussion as well. I mean, we were, a lot more excited when there was, I don't know about a sports bar, but it was a sit-down restaurant, and this was going to be part of a combo project. That was very early on. That was back in 2023, but that concept was fairly quickly abandoned, and it became more of of your typical box gas station. So that's all I want to say. I don't want to, get into a debate. If you want to go to a committee, just let us know. Then we'll be prepared to.
I'm not trying to debate, but explain the exclamatory word "excited." You mean you were more accepting of it?
That was
or you were more...
I don't know that we had gotten that far. I mean, there were several issues, and
okay.
There's still issues with it. Some beyond the builder's control, such as the billboard. I believe there's another outside permit that was, we were waiting on that finally, I believe, came in. But that was very late in the game. So, there were just some other issues that were going on as well.
But I guess my question is, for their clarification, everyone's clarification, is the city more encouraged by a multi-use facility there, or are they, or not, I guess? Or we don't know that yet?
Well, we know that the draft language of any UDC would want some co-location or some combined use and not standalone gas stations, because while I think your conclusion might be different than ours, Mr. Schilling, having 22 gas stations is one of the largest per capita number of gas stations in the region. Whether just one more is anecdotal or impactful, I guess, is in the eye of the beholder. So
we haven't seen that in MUDC. But,
no, I get it.
So
you asked the questions.
No, I understand. So the co-use would be something that would be beneficial. That if that's what they're doing, they should let us know.
It could be. Now, again, that's part of your overall discussion of the UDC. So I don't want to just telling you what I think we're recommending. So,
Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, sir. I don't know, Mandeep or your attorney can answer this question, but I did ask, I can't remember which meeting it was ago, that if this 90-day moratorium was going to be an acceptable time period for you to build, and the answer at the time that it was acceptable and that you would be able to live with that. So what has changed in the meantime?
I will answer that. My client was not there that evening because he had an accident and could not be, so I misspoke. It's not, and if it's okay, if you can indulge us a little more, I'd like for Mr. Ward, Matthew Ward, who's the construction manager, to come up and talk about some of the practical problems that are being caused by the moratorium. Sure. He also tells me that the site plan that has been approved does include the restaurant. I can't read site plans, so I can't tell you that, but that's what he told me.
I'd have to dive in a little bit. The size of the building definitely shows that that tenant space on it. I don't know if they were aware of that or not, but I'm just saying the building on the approved site plan is the same building. Nothing's changed about the building. I don't know if they knew that part of the building was a tenant space or not, but the building that's been reviewed is the same building, size and shape and everything. We get Matthew, Rhinovation 9674 Coleraine Avenue. I'll just mention a couple things about the construction variables. Well, obviously, you already mentioned that the buster permit is going to expire. And then also the underground tank lead times are a significant issue. We got with material cost escalations already happening, and they're just continuing to happen, and we've already this project has already been appraised with the bank, and financing has been approved, and now this thing's getting drug out so long that cost escalations are going to be a significant issue on this project, because this is a really long delay that affects price increases. It makes us subject to significant price increases with with that long of a delay. And also vendor availability. And then we got winter costs, because it's going to end up pushing us into the winter. So we're going to have to deal with temporary heating, concrete protection, things of that nature. And then also another variable is blacktop. We're not even going to be able to pave this thing. So we're basically, we get to the point where we have this thing built, and then it's just going to be kind of a building sitting there waiting to be paved for the asphalt plants to reopen, because we didn't start in time before the asphalt plants closed. And then, yeah. So those are some significant variables I just wanted to mention on the construction perspective. Yeah.
Mr. Schilling.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. President. I did have a question for you on, we're now having a question about what type of what's going in this building. And my question is that the plans that are in this book that you've given us, you'd be okay building what's already been approved by approved by the city, and then if you wanted to make any modifications, you would essentially file change of building permits or something to modify the building as you construct it out? I mean, that would be for the process, right?
If we need to do a revision on it, you're saying?
Well, I'm saying is that you're saying that there's within this you've given us there's a restaurant in there somewhere.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's not according to our Service and Safety Director. Said there was no restaurant in these plans.
I'm not familiar with what exactly he's referring to or not.
Okay,
I just know that what's on that building, that's on that drawing, the tenant space is on that.
Okay, that's what I wanted to find out.
There's a big difference there. First of all,
Yeah.
Mr. Schilling, we haven't approved anything, so please don't characterize it as that. But second of all, just having the tenant space there does not equate to, yes, we are building a restaurant at the same time as we are building the gas station portion.
They can add that later.
There's a big difference.
They can add that later then.
Well, that probably is their intent, is to be as cost effective as possible.
Right.
But having that tenant space, I mean, that could be, empty space for a long time until they decide, or if and when they decide that they want to expand with the restaurant.
Right.
So there's a big difference.
My question is that wouldn't delay. I mean, I guess we don't. My question is, what do we have to do? I mean, that doesn't have to be decided right now. Then, in other words, that tenant space is just there.
No, well, nothing does, because there's a moratorium in place.
Right.
So
but
that's part of the discussion we need to have at the committee.
Okay.
When we will find the set of plans that we have that have been under review, and just bring it all to you next week.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Anything else?
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public that's still here? If not,
Mr. President.
yes,
one question.
Mr. Schilling.
We are going to have this meeting next week then, under somebody's committee, right?
Apparently.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. I want to get that clarified. Thank you.
Thank you. Are we adjourned?
Are we dismissed?
Parks and Recs. We are adjourned till June 15th.